Hello, this is Lew again. We're going to look at some definitions of words that we find in the scriptures, and we're going to read a little bit from the BYNV Volume 2 that's available at Amazon.com and see what that tells us. Strongholds. Strongholds, sometimes reinforced by demonic possession. But they're philosophies or misunderstandings or false reasonings that men have taught us, and they hold captive a lot of people because the false teachings are readily accepted because they come from a teaching authority we respect. And yet, they're just traditions of men, and we've been fooled. Paul warned us about this. Let's find that. And there's our little bookmark that you can pick up from us or make yourself. They're the list of the alphabets. You don't have to have a whole bunch of cards. One card has all the letters of English and Greek and Latin. You can just see what corresponds to what. But let's check this. We've got Colossians. Colossians is chapter 2, and it's about verse 8. It starts with a letter K, not the Latin C, but that's a Latin. Anything that starts with a C has a Latin origin. The original letter was K. Anyway, Colossians. People that lived there in Colossae. Now, he's talking about this great struggle. That's what he's opening up with in the chapter. And he talks about the steadfastness of our belief. Now, starting at verse 8, Paul writes, "See to it that no one makes you a prey through philosophy and empty deceit, according to the tradition of men, according to the elementary things of the world, and not according to Mashiach." Okay, well, that's pretty much what we do, or what we see around us. Steeples, and costumes, and special hats, and all the stuff that we see is all empty deceit. What a stronghold is. It's a false reasoning or an idea that's holding you captive. You're held in it. And the family bonds of the traditions of your family, the reason you get together, are all part of this. Because like Christmas or Halloween or Easter, which is actually the Earth Mother's name, the wife of Nimrod, Ishtar, and the eggs and all the fertility symbols. People seem to not notice them, but they're there. They're right there, hidden in plain sight. The strongholds are the philosophies that hold us captive. And Paul wrote about it. See to it that no one holds you captive or deceives you. Yahuah has other sheep, and we're to feed them. When he comes, we must be found feeding them. If we waste time listening to arguments about when he will return, look out for the 4 blood moons, or whatever it is, or I know something that's going to happen. Just forget that. You're supposed to be doing something he told you to do, not wait for his return, thinking you know when it's going to be, or wasting your time listening to people who tell you these things. Don't put that in your mind. That's not for you to worry about. It's for him to worry about. When he comes, we'll see it. And we'll say, look, this is Yahuah. Well, we call him Yahushua because he's our deliverer. And you just read Yeshayahu 24, or Isaiah 24 and 25, and you'll see it. Nazarene are here today. So anyway, if we waste our time listening to arguments about when he will return, we're being distracted by demonic forces, messengers of the dark side. When he is coming to reign is the subject most feared by the demonic realm. That's what they're talking about it for. They keep bringing it up. When's he coming? They're worried. They're very fearful. So just don't waste time listening to that. He's going to come. That's inevitable. No one can stop it. We're supposed to be listening to our shepherd. And our orders are to listen to him and teach his sheep to guard his instructions and how to love him and love our neighbor. Only Yahuah can break the strongholds that we inherited from our fathers. And if he uses us to speak to them, it's not us who speak. It's not our words that they're going to hear. They're going to hear his voice because they recognize their shepherd. There are many strongholds, which are misunderstandings, and we have to overcome them. That's why we're here. The Nazarene are here to overthrow the strongholds. Translators admit they replaced the name. Simply read the preface of your translation, and the truth will set you free. You'll say, what? They replaced his name with a device? And then they say it's because of tradition? There it is. Philosophies of men. Oh, there's always an excuse. They have a reason. But that's the same thing that the snake said, the serpent, in the garden. Oh, well, he didn't really mean what he said. Just look at that. Isn't that nice looking? Well, it sounds fine. I'm used to hearing that, so I'll just use the wrong name. Maybe we ought to challenge them and say, look, the first to state his case seems right, but maybe we should go question him about this. It helps to know the difference between despising something and exposing it as a lie. I mean, we're not hateful. We're just exposing it as a lie. People are not disturbed because his name is Yahuah. They're more disturbed by the fact that his name is not J-E-S-U-S. That's why they're disturbed. Because they think, oh, that's what I learned first. I thought I was born again in that name. Well, you're not born again until he returns. That's when he redeems your body. But we are going to be redeemed. Anyway, the I-E-S-O-U-S in the Greek was taken away and thrown out by the Latin Vulgate, and they put in I-E-S-V, which is actually a U, or Isu, which is another replacement. Christogram. Look that word up. Christogram. Christogram. It's a replacement term mystagogues use. And the Latin Vulgate dates to the 4th century. So they were really way back there when they started to malign his name. And this J-E-S-U-S was based on the I-E-S-V shape. That's a U in Latin. And that was first seen in the 17th century. No one ever saw that. So what are you going to do? The law of first occurrence? Or take up some philosophy of men that you've adopted because you were raised that way and you just believed it? Well, study to show yourself approved. Now, these things are easy to research, and they're only found in translations from foreign languages, not Hebrew, in other words. We're speaking a babbling lip now, English, but we can get his name right if we really dig. And that's what it takes, digging. The pearl of great price. It will cost you all your family and friends. That's why it's a great price to pay. You will give everything to know his name and his word. Look at your favorite translation's preface and read it slowly. It will admit substituting the name with a device. And they set the name aside because of their tradition. They set his word and his name aside. They put his word behind them, and they practice philosophies of men. The truth will set you free. The OT, which is an abbreviation for the Old Testament. Well, it's not really a testament, it's a covenant. And it's not Genesis through Malachi. That's a promotion of Marcionism. The Old Covenant was written on a scroll, and it was hung beside the ark. Deuteronomy 31, verse 26. And it was the priest's instructions to offer animal blood for atonement. It was temporary. I mean, animals were being butchered, and Yahuah really didn't like it, but it was necessary to train us for the consequences of how serious he sees sin, the transgression of his Ten Commandments. Anyway, the obsolescence of this old covenant is mentioned in Hebrews chapter 8, verse 13. It's passed away. There's no one sacrificing animals for atonement. You could sacrifice or offer the blood of all the animals on the earth, and it would not redeem a single human being. It's not possible. That didn't work. And the Ten Commandments teach us how to love Yahuah and love our neighbor. And it's the everlasting covenant between Yahuah and his people forever. It was renewed in Yahusha's blood. If you read Acts 20, verse 28, you see that the Ruach HaKodesh shed his own blood to purchase us. Do you love the commandments? He's ready to help you to do that. He said, love me and guard my commandments. Keep digging. Something has been buried that is very, very precious. We have to dig through the barriers of language to get to the pearl of great price. Luke recorded in Acts 26, verse 14, that when they had all fallen to the ground, Yahusha spoke to Shaul in the Hebrew tongue. There are 11 confirmed incidences mentioning the language of Iberith, or Hebrew, in the Nazarene writings. The captain who arrested Paul was surprised that Paul could even speak Greek. So we know Paul was multilingual, highly educated. That's why he was chosen, because he was trying to explain to the people who couldn't even read and write, because they have to hear the word, Yahusha. Ask Yahusha, and he will tell you the true name of our deliverer. He's waiting. It cannot be a Greek name that no one ever heard until the 17th century, or, the J-E-S-U-S name. But it is the only name given among men by which we must be delivered, Yahusha. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Bye now.